The man who survived 2 atomic bombs. Before we begin, please subscribe to the channel and like the video. Imagine surviving an atomic bomb. Now imagine surviving two. It sounds impossible, but this is the true story of Tsutomu Yamaguchi, the only person officially recognized by the Japanese government as a survivor of both the Hiroshima and Nagasaki atomic bombings during World War II. His story is not just about survival. It is a story of courage, luck, and the incredible strength of the human spirit. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe for more fascinating true stories from history. Let's start. In the summer of 1945, World War II was entering its final and most destructive phase. Japan was under immense pressure, and cities across the country were being devastated by air raids. At the time, Tsutomu Yamaguchi was a 29-year-old engineer working for Mitsubishi Heavy Industries. He had been sent from his hometown of Nagasaki to Hiroshima on a business trip. After several months of work, his assignment was finally ending. On the morning of August 6, 1945, he was preparing to return home. As he walked toward the shipyard, he suddenly heard the sound of an aircraft overhead. Looking up, he noticed a single American B-29 bomber flying across the sky. Moments later, everything changed. At exactly 8:15 a.m., the bomber dropped an atomic bomb known as Little Boy. A blinding flash filled the sky. Yamaguchi later described it as being brighter than the sun. The explosion threw him violently through the air. The heat was so intense that it caused severe burns on parts of his body. His eardrums were damaged, and he temporarily lost his vision. For several minutes, he was unable to understand what had happened. When he finally regained consciousness, the city around him had become a nightmare. Buildings had collapsed. Fires were spreading everywhere. People wandered through the streets covered in burns and injuries. Thousands had died instantly. Others were desperately searching for family members. The modern city of Hiroshima had been transformed into a landscape of destruction within seconds. Despite his injuries, Yamaguchi somehow managed to survive. He spent a difficult night in an air raid shelter with other survivors. The following day, he began the long journey back home. The transportation system was severely damaged, yet against all odds, he managed to find a train heading toward Nagasaki. Exhausted, injured, and still trying to comprehend the disaster he had witnessed, he finally arrived home. Most people would think that surviving Hiroshima was the end of his nightmare. It wasn't. On August 9th, only 3 days later, Yamaguchi returned to work. Still wrapped in bandages, he met with his supervisor and attempted to explain what he had experienced. He told his colleagues that a single bomb had destroyed an entire city. Many found the claim difficult to believe. At that time, few people understood the power of nuclear weapons. As Yamaguchi described the unimaginable destruction, another aircraft appeared high above Nagasaki. At 11:02 a.m., a second atomic bomb, known as Fat Man, exploded over the city. Once again, a brilliant flash lit up the sky. Once again, an enormous shock wave swept through the area. And once again, Tsutomu Yamaguchi found himself near the center of one of the most devastating explosions in human history. Amazingly, he survived for the second time. The building he was in provided some protection from the blast. Although he suffered additional injuries and radiation exposure, he escaped with his life. Many others were not so fortunate. The bombing of Nagasaki killed tens of thousands of people and caused widespread destruction. Within just 3 days, Yamaguchi had experienced both atomic bomb attacks. The odds of surviving one were already incredibly small. Surviving two seemed almost impossible. Yet his journey was far from over. The weeks and months that followed were extremely difficult. Like many survivors, Yamaguchi suffered from illness related to radiation exposure. His injuries required extensive recovery. The emotional trauma was also immense. He had witnessed scenes of suffering that few people could imagine. For years, many survivors of the bombings struggled not only with health problems, but also with social discrimination and psychological scars. Despite these challenges, Yamaguchi rebuilt his life. He continued working, raised a family, and became increasingly dedicated to sharing his experiences with future generations. For decades, he spoke publicly about the dangers of nuclear weapons. His goal was not to spread hatred. Instead, he wanted people to understand the human cost of war. He believed that no city should ever experience what Hiroshima and Nagasaki endured. In 2009, more than 60 years after the bombings, the Japanese government officially recognized him as a survivor of both attacks. This recognition brought international attention to his extraordinary story. News organizations around the world reported on the man who had survived 2 atomic bombs. Many people saw him as a symbol of resilience. Others viewed his life as a reminder of the devastating consequences of nuclear warfare. Yamaguchi himself remained humble. He often emphasized that many others had suffered far more than he had. He considered it his responsibility to speak for those who lost their lives and could no longer tell their stories. Tsutomu Yamaguchi passed away in 2010 at the age of 93, but his story continues to inspire people around the world. His survival was extraordinary, yet perhaps even more remarkable was what he chose to do with the years he was given. Instead of allowing tragedy to define him, he dedicated his life to education, peace, and remembrance. Today, nearly 80 years after the bombings, his experiences remain an important part of history. They remind us of the destructive power of war. They remind us of the value of peace. And they remind us that even in humanity's darkest moments, people can display incredible strength and resilience. The story of Tsutomu Yamaguchi is more than a tale of survival. It is proof that the human spirit can endure even the most unimaginable circumstances. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let us know in the comments which incredible historical story you'd like to hear next. Thanks for watching and subscribe.